Okay, so let's say there's, hope you can see that. Let's say there's two people, right? And they each have 100 units of energy. So the most they can have is 100 units of energy, right? That's all they can have. Now, person one only has three goals, right? He wants to have a fit body. He wants to make, I don't know, let's say $1 million. And he wants to keep a good relationship with his wife, right? That's his only three goals. He only got three goals. But then person two has, let's say he has 10 goals, right? Pretend that's 10. Pretend that's 10. And so he's like, okay, I want to do CrossFit, and I also want to up my SAT score, keep my grades high. I also want to make $1 million. I also want to, I don't know, whatever else, right? Fill in the blank. This is this guy. And the thing is, both of them have the same amount of energy. They both have 100 units. This is 100 units of energy, right? They only have 100 units. But what's happening is, this person one, right? This is person one. He's able to allocate 33% of his energy to each of his goals. So that means he's able to allocate 33% to his fitness. And he's also able to allocate 33% to his relationships and to, gaining financial wealth, right? But this guy's like able to split it across 10, which means he only gives each thing 10% of energy. And so what's happening is this guy won't be able to achieve as much simply because his focus is split in so much directions. Here's the thing though, here's the caveat. This guy actually can achieve all this stuff, except it'll take him a much longer time period, right? The reason that is because if this person's able to allocate, let's say he only has two goals, matter of fact. So he wanted to stay fit and he wants to get rich. So he's able to allocate 50% of his energy, right, to each of these. Right? That's 50. That says 50. 50-50. Let's add an arbitrary number to how long it takes to make $1 million. Let's say if he allocated 100%, which I don't recommend. This means sacrificing everything, just sitting inside and just working, which is horrible for you. But let's say he did do that, right? He only had one goal. He really, really, really wanted to make $1 million. If that was his one overwhelming desire, let's say that took him 2 years. But now he added on an extra goal, right? And that takes up 50% of his energy. He's like, okay, you know what? I still want to stay fit. I don't want to just be rich and fat. Okay, that's reasonable, right? So that takes up 50% of his energy, and the 50%, the rest of it is going to getting rich, right? Now it's going to double his time that he needs to achieve that same goal of wealth, right? If he allocated 100%, then it'll take him 2 years, right? I don't know if you can see that, but if he allocated 100%, it'll take him 2 years, right? Let me go on a new paper. So if he allocated, this is a different paper by the way, if he allocated 100% of his energy, it only takes him 2 years to make $1 million, right? Reasonable. If he allocated 50%, it would take him double time, theoretically. Take him double time, about 4 years. And if he only allocated 25% of his energy towards becoming that millionaire, it would take him 8 years. So if you see what's happening here, he's pretty much splitting his attention with each extra goal he adds on top. So like I showed in this paper right here, right? If this person who has 10 different goals he's trying to achieve, he only allocates 10% of his energy towards trying to become a millionaire. If you do the math, right, and you do like real math and you say, okay, 100% is 2 years, then that means that hitting that millionaire status for this person over here would probably take him about 16, 20-ish years. Take him 20 years to hit that goal if he had 10 other goals that he was trying to hit. And most people can't stick to one thing for 20 years, just so you know. So this person would probably quit before he even gets to his goal, simply because he had so many distractions on the way that he wasn't able to put all of his energy into it. And so this is what happens with most people. They're not able to achieve their goals, so they just switch up their goals, or they add an extra one, so they're like, okay, maybe I can win at this goal. The thing is, every time you add an extra goal, the amount that you can achieve within that goal actually decreases. So what I mean by that is, let's say you wanted to hit some number by 2 years, right? You wanted to hit like, let me put this on a new paper. So let's say this is kind of like the chart, right? Where the time you put into something and the achievement you put into something are inversely correlated. So again, if we're talking in terms of focus, right? If we're talking in terms of focus, if you put 100% of your time into it, you achieve the most, right? 100% of your time to make $1 million take you 2 years. But if you take 100% of your time and you say I only want to make $500,000, that might take you 1 year. So you see how there's like kind of like a mathematical equation? That's what's happening, right? So if you decrease the achievement, right, that you want to hit, so in this case, decreasing achievement is going from 1 mil to 500K, right? 500? pretend it's 500. Then what happens is it takes you less time to hit that achievement, just theoretically, right? These are just units that I've assigned. So what you can do, or what usually happens in these scenarios, is people drop their goals because they take so long to achieve, right? Let's say it's that same person who's like, I have 10 different things I want to do, and let's say he's been trying to hit that $1 million for 5 years, but he's still distracted amongst 10 other things. Then he'll just be like, oh, maybe I can't make $10 million. Maybe I'm not made for it. All these other guys are just lucky. Let me try to make $100,000, right? $100K. He's probably able to do that in maybe a year, maybe like 2-3 years. But what he did right there is sacrifice his goal because he wasn't able to hit it on time, because his focus was so split across everything. So that's pretty much what's happening. So basically, the bigger the achievement that you want, right, the more time it's going to take. That's pretty much, I shouldn't have made it like this, but you get the idea. It'd probably take you more time to hit 10 million than it would to hit 1 million. What these people do is they drop their goal level because they're so distracted amongst everything, right? They're so distracted amongst everything that they're just like, oh, let me try and hit at least 100,000. This is what happens to a lot of people who are ambitious. They burn out and they fail because they're split amongst so much things that they want to achieve. And so the solution to this is to simply be like person one, right? Be like person one who's not split amongst so many other things. He literally only has 2 goals, right? He has 2 goals. He wants to get rich and he wants to stay fit. That's it. That's all he wants to do. And if you're able to split your focus like that, I guarantee that you will do well. Because here's what happens when you have less things that you're trying to focus on. If you have, let's say, only those 2 goals, right? I want to be fit, I want to make money. All your time every day only goes to those 2 things. So let's say getting fit, pretty much the formula is work out 5 times a week, eat protein, it's just watch what you eat, sleep well, and work out well. That's pretty much like basics, right? If you can do that, you'll probably be fit. And staying consistent to that is all you, right? You can do that. But now that this guy has more time, he's still going to take time out of his day to go work out, right? And there's also the fact that he has to learn to recover, right? Recovery takes some time. You're tired after your workout, maybe for an hour, hour and a half after. You have to eat more, you dedicate more time to that. That's 50% of your time, let's say. And let's say for work, let's say he's trying to sell something, right? So he'd probably be, let's say he's doing sales. So he has to make like sale calls every day. Because he's taken up by working out, right? He has fitness. He won't be able to make as many sales calls. And because he's making sales calls, he won't be able to do fitness as much. The thing is, focusing only on one thing, right? If you only had one goal, let's say person one only had one goal of $1 million. He'd been making sales calls all day. Doesn't care about his social life. Doesn't care about showering. Doesn't work out. Doesn't care about his food. Just eats whatever he gets. Of course, this is horrible, but I guarantee that it will help him build something big really fast. And if you see all the successful people today, like Bill Gates, you see the Mark Zuckerbergs, you see the Jeff Bezos, these are very unhealthy people. Very unbalanced lives. Their marriages are falling apart because they don't know how to marry. They never take care of their family. Their fitness, they're all fat. They're all like pudgy. Everybody at the top is deficient in something. And that's because they had to sacrifice, right? They gave up so many other goals that, say, this person two has. Person 2 has so many goals, right? This is the average person. Like, oh, I want this and that and this and that and this and that. So they become average in everything because they're not able to dedicate focus. But the problem with billionaires and people who really succeed in one thing is that they gave up so much that everything else is below average, except for one thing, which is the top 1% in that field. And for most of them, it's wealth, right? Most of them, they're trying to build something big. And I wouldn't assign a good or bad to it, but most people probably don't want to end up with bad knees at 60, I'm assuming. Nobody wakes up and says, man, I really want bad knees at 60. Everybody wants to be healthy. So what happens with these billionaires is they put 100% of their focus, they achieve really big things in a short period of time. But again, look at everything else they've sacrificed. I guarantee most of their marriages are falling apart. You know this. And so what you have to do, if you want to live a balanced life, is not have 10 goals. But I would say in 3 fields, it's really important, right? Not 10, but I think 3 are important. Just health, wealth, and relationships. That's it. That's like the 3 you should probably only be focused on. And that's what your time should be going to the most. The rest is a waste of time. Now you might be like, okay, I do already have that. I only have 3 goals, right? I want to make muscle. I want to, make a lot of money. and I only have this relationship I'm trying to do. The truth is, you can't equally balance all of them at the same time. And this is where the concept of what I call seasons comes in, where there are periods of time within the year or periods of weeks or months that you set aside and you're like, okay, I'm going to work on this for this time period, right? For these next 12 weeks, I'm only going to focus on my wealth building. So I'm going to put my fitness on maintenance. I'm going to put my, relationships on maintenance. I'm just going to go all in on this one thing. And so what you're doing is this splitting of energy, right? The splitting of energy, but on a shorter time scale. So you go 100%, but only for 4 months, right? 12 weeks. 3 months or 12 weeks. The rest you put on maintenance. So maybe, let's say 90% of your energy goes towards building something, right? Let's say it's sales. You're working in sales. Goes towards sales. 5% towards maintaining the relationship, right? You talk to them, whatever, but it's not as much as before. And then 5% goes towards your health, right? And surprisingly, you need very little. If you've already built up muscle, you need very little to maintain it. I've gone by on working out 1-2 times a week, and I still keep my muscle on me. Like, I don't lose weight. I don't lose any of that. As long as I'm eating right, I can get by with that for a few weeks at a time. I've tried it. So you need surprisingly little to maintain exercise, but you can't do that for too long, of course. I think past about 12 weeks-ish, which is why I said 12 weeks. Past 12 weeks, you start losing muscle if you don't work out enough. So it's a short-term thing, but it's definitely real to maintain. But let's say those 12 weeks pass, right? Where he put 100% focus, he made some progress in that. Now he's like, okay, now I'm thinking that I want to work more on my relationships. So he's okay, I want to get closer to my wife. I don't know, my girlfriend. I want to go get a girlfriend. And so he's like, okay, let me switch the tables. So now 90% of his energy goes towards that relationship, right? He's like, okay, I'm planning dates. Let me get closer to her. Let me go out, talk to more women, right? Whatever you want to do. And then let me put 5% towards my business, where I'm just doing enough to maintain it. And then 5% towards my health again, right? And just work out enough to maintain muscle. You go out, you go get a wife, whatever. And then once you go get her, you can tell her, you can be like, I'm trying to up my health, right? I really want to gain some muscle. And if she's accepting, if she's she's a good person, she'd probably be like, okay, yeah, I understand that. For a small period of time, go focus on your health. And you do the same thing with your fitness. We're like 90% towards fitness, 5% towards my relationships, 5% towards my wealth. And you just choose this as you please, right? This is not any formula. You can do this for 24 weeks for your finances, right? I'm saying this in mind for people who want a moderately balanced life. Most people just want to be fit and they want to be rich. Like, that's most people's goals. Like, if you had a six-pack and you had $10 million, you'd probably be happy. For a lot of people, that's what they think would make them happy. I think that's great. Except you're too distracted in a lot of things. And this is just the macro thinking, right? This is just the macro thinking of goals, which is big things. But there's also the micro. This same energy concept applies in the micro concept as well. So I'll talk in terms of YouTube because that's all I know. But what happens on YouTube is there's about 3 things you can do. You can make long-form videos, you can make short-form videos, and you can make community posts. So what happens is, with long-form videos, that's usually the one that builds your audience the best. Short-form video gets you a lot of views, and a lot of subscribers really quickly. But these aren't people who would probably watch your long-form videos. Community post gets a lot of impressions, a lot of subscribers. And you can see how this is also something like a sapping of your energy, right? You can dedicate 100% of your energy towards short videos. You can also dedicate 100% of your energy towards community posts or towards long form, right? And each of them have their own benefits, of course. But I think for most people, what happens is they see an opportunity and they get distracted, right? Most people, what they see as easy opportunities, where something that will grow quick is something that will get them a lot of views, it's mostly just a distraction for them. This is why I've stuck to YouTube for a very long time, because although I see these kids making 150K drop shipping, right? Or they're making 50 grand a month, SMMA, whatever it is. What they don't tell you is that they stuck to that for 7 years. They say they can build it in 3 months, but that's because they have the skill worth of 7 years worth of skill to be able to do that in 3 months. They stuck to it for 7 years. I'm talking these kids starting at like 12 and they're saying at 19, oh, I'm making 100K a month. Yeah, because you've been doing it for nearly 7 years. Of course you're making 100K at 19. That is true focus. And again, this is like short term. This is on a smaller scale, right? Let's say your goal is 1 million. We're going to stick to that, right? Your goal is $1 million. There are an infinite amount of ways to do that. Dropshipping, SMMA, YouTube, whatever else you want to do. Sales, I don't even know what else there is. There's an infinite amount of ways to get there. But the beauty is you get to choose, right? You get to choose which one you want. But what happens is when you're 1 year in, and I have this graph on my wall right here. I'll pull it off for you guys. I've never pulled something off my wall. But this is pretty much the graph that represents it, right? I've had this on my wall for a really long time because it's really accurate. What happens at the start, this represents motivation, up and down. So what happens at the start is that you get really motivated to start your thing, right? Like you rise up in that graph, if you can see it. Let me zoom in. There. Zoom in a little more. So what happens is, right, your motivation climbs up. You're like, oh, I'm making money, right? This is an opportunity that works. But what happens is that's just the initial enthusiasm. Then what happens is it drops off. You're like, oh, there's actually a lot of work in this. There's actually a lot of effort that you got to put into making videos. Let's say it's for YouTube again, right? So if you make a video, oh my God, I got 3 views, 4 views. And you're like, oh, there's actually a lot. I got to learn to edit, and I got to learn to, I'm trying to put it in focus. I learned to edit. I got to learn to, make thumbnails, edit. I don't even know what else there's. Script videos, all that stuff, right? And then you're in the trough. This is the part where most people quit. This is where everyone quit. It's called the trough of sorrow, right? Minimal gains, where there's not much effort, there's not much progress being made. This is where everyone quits. So let's say like 80% of people quit here, and like 10% quit at this dip right here. Because what happens is, when you're in this stage, this is called the poop stage. I call this the shit stage, where it's like, you're just working hard on this thing with no results. Nothing comes. Let's say in working out, it's the same thing, right? You're working out really hard. This is like the first 8 weeks where you see no progress. Your weight isn't changing. You don't see any muscle on you. You're just going to the gym and you're like, why isn't this working? This is where most people quit. It's always this right here. And sometimes there's that little crash of motivation where it's like, shoot, my thing really isn't working, right? Like it's not working. And what happens during this time period is you see other people who are dropshipping. You see these videos, 500K at 19, 120K at 18, SMMA, dropshipping, and you're like, man, they really seem to be making a lot of money. And what people do, they go back to the start and they start over again. That initial motivation, oh, this dropshipping thing, I'm making a website, so much new stuff to learn. And then you realize, oh, I have to learn to make a website and make ads and make how to advertise this stuff, and I got to post it, and my product might not work and all this stuff. But then during this time period again, you see, oh my God, SMMA? And you go back and you're like, oh my God, SMMA. You see, it's just a cycle that people keep on repeating. They never get to the actual gains, which is over here. You got to push through the hard stuff, because there will be a period where you don't make any progress at all. And it's going to suck. It's going to be so bad. It's going to feel terrible. But this is the part where you have to push through the most. And this is where most people quit. And so what happens is, if you can get past this stage, which is like that initial learning stage, and I guarantee everyone has this, then you start making a little progress. These are like little wiggles of hope. That's what I named this, right? You see it's like slowly rising up. You see a bit more progress, right? Your subscriber count goes up. Your views start going up consistently. And sometimes the progress drops, sometimes it goes up, but it's whatever, right? Long term, if you look at it, there's still progress being made. And so you keep on going up. All of a sudden, it's a big rise at once. And then it's a big drop. It's a big rise, big drop, right? You're making progress. You're going forward. Your subs are going up. And then the exponential increase actually happens. And then that's real success. This is the overnight success that you don't see. 10,000 subscribers in one day, 100,000 in one day, right? 1 million in a month. This is the success that you don't see. And so most people quit, once again, at that trough. If you see the whole graph, it's probably blurry. It's probably horrible for you guys. You see that trough right there? That's where most people quit. You just need to get through that slump phase, which is horrible. I guarantee you it's really bad. But for nearly anything you start, there's always that learning curve. And it sucks. It's horrible, but it's worth it getting through. It's what happened to me in fitness. Happens to everyone in fitness. They're like, man, I'm working out. When are my gains coming in? I think one of the most common search questions on Google, on YouTube, I saw this video with like 9 million views. It was like, how long does it take to build muscle? That to me was interesting because people really want to know how long it takes. These are probably the people who are like ready to quit because they don't see any progress. And I understand that. But what happens is they're still working out, but they're not working out on the same routine. Again, it's that energy thing, right? It's that energy thing. They find something new and then they jump back to the start and their energy split again. So this energy concept works not only in the macro but also in the micro, which is, are you doing long form only? Are you doing short form only? Are you doing community posts? Are you going to stick to YouTube? Are you going to go on to SMMA? Are you going to do drop shipping? Like, I think minimum, again, I don't know, but from what I've heard, from what I've seen, I think it minimum takes at least 3 to 5 years to see moderate success in something. And I'm at about that 2-year mark. So I'm still in that trough of like progress. I'm still learning. I'm still learning curve. And I just noticed that Cam had this, my friend, he had this this distraction, the 10 goals he added. Again, it's like an ambitious person curse. So much stuff that you're doing, but all you got to do is choose. You got to choose the few things that you want to sacrifice. You have to choose your regrets in life. Heard that from Chris Williamson. There is all this stuff that you can get. You can have everything, but just not at the same time. That's it. You can have the perfect body. You can have the perfect relationship, marriage, whatever you want, wife. You can have $1 million, $10 million in the bank, but just not all at the same time. You will have to sacrifice one for another for a short period of time. And by short period of time, I mean maybe 3, 5, 10 years. Now you have to ask yourself, are you willing to do that? And how much, to what extent are you willing to do that? How much are you willing to sacrifice? That's the question you got to ask yourself. Because with everything, there's opportunity cost. You pursue one thing, that means you won't be able to do another, right? If you're trying to get fit, you won't be able to go out with your friends for drinks. You won't be able to eat that junk food. You won't be able to eat some cakes. You won't be able to have your favorite ice cream every single night. Are you willing to make that sacrifice for a six-pack? Right? If you're trying to build a huge business, you're trying to build something big, right? That might mean you spend less time with your friends. That might mean that you don't go out as much. That might mean that you have to sacrifice your health a bit. Are you willing to do that? Some people are not, and that's okay. Maybe it's not for you. Maybe it's genuinely not for you. You have to evaluate this on your own. How much are you willing to sacrifice? If you can answer that question clearly, I guarantee you'll be able to achieve nearly anything you want. And I know this because I was able to get the physique I want, right? Through sacrifice. I had to sacrifice a lot of food. I remember going to birthday parties and they were eating this amazing lava cake right in front of me, right? Chocolate dripping down the sides, warm. And I'm just sitting there like, I'm just sitting there with my reduced calorie lemonade and like some vegetables with like a chicken breast. And yeah, I mean that was tough. It was tough. I had to avoid a lot of cakes, a lot of sweet stuff. But I knew it was worth it because I was able to get the physique I wanted. I know it's probably going to be the same for business, which I'm willing to sacrifice for, because I know it's going to be a short-term sacrifice. It's going to be the hardest thing I do in my life, but I only have to do it once. And so to all those people who are distracted, to all those people who are going through their journey right now, whatever you're trying to build, be it your physique, be it anything, don't be this. Don't be this. Don't add goals just because you're not achieving them. Stick to 2 or 3 and dedicate your entire day. Find a way to split your entire day to focus on those 3. That's it. If you can do that, I veritably guarantee you will achieve them. If you work out 5 times a week, watch what you eat and do that for a year, I guarantee you will get the body you want. Like, literally guaranteed. You can come back here if that doesn't work and you don't stick to one routine for the next year. Like, you can say in the comments if that's happened to you, but I can tell you on Earth that has never happened unless you have a disease, right? But that's what I'm thinking of, and this is kind of for Cam as well, and for anyone else who's kind of like, why am I not making progress? This is probably why. Choose one, two, three things, stick to it for a long period of time, and you will do well. That's it. That's it. So, good luck. It's the first time I drew on paper. Hope you guys liked it. I mean, it was just kind of like little drawings. Pulled off a paper from the wall for you guys. Better be grateful. You know, haven't done that. Hope it doesn't fall off. I might have to retape that, but it's whatever. My little drawings. I should throw them away now. But yeah, hope you enjoyed it. Tell me if you like that. That was new. So yeah. Okay, bye.